There comes a stage where discipline is no longer the issue. If you're fasting, staying consistent, doing one meal a day, and fat loss still hasn't restarted, you're not broken. You're at an advanced plateau. And at this stage, the instinctive reaction is predictable. Push harder, fast longer, eat less, train more. It feels logical, but this is exactly where progress quietly collapses. Because extreme plateaus do not respond to force, they respond to relief.
One meal a day is a powerful tool. It lowers insulin, simplifies eating, and often unlocks fat loss when nothing else works. But it is still a stress signal. And when the body already feels unsafe, after years of dieting, chronic stress, poor sleep, or metabolic damage, that signal can stop producing results.
Not because OMAD is ineffective, but because the body adapts. When adaptation sets in, cortisol rises in the background, thyroid output downshifts, fat oxidation slows, energy conservation increases. Fat loss doesn't just slow down, it freezes. And this isn't failure. It's survival biology doing exactly what it was designed to do.
At this point, disciplined people make the same mistake, assuming the answer must be more effort, longer fasts, harder training, fewer foods, lower calories. Every one of those moves sends the same message to the body: danger, instability, scarcity. So the body tightens control even further. This is why extreme plateaus feel so frustrating, because the harder you push, the less your body gives back.
For some people at this stage, the problem is no longer how much they're eating. It's how often they're eating. Every time you eat, insulin rises and fat burning pauses. In people with severe insulin resistance, even one meal a day can still generate enough insulin to block fat release.
In carefully selected, advanced cases, a temporary shift may help. Not less food, less frequency. For example, spacing meals further apart for a short period can help the body finally access stored energy. This is not starvation when body fat is abundant. It's a controlled metabolic strategy. When applied cautiously and temporarily, this can restart fat loss when nothing else works.
This is not for beginners. It's not a lifestyle, and it's never mandatory. It's a tool, used briefly, and only when safeguards are already in place. Without proper minerals, adequate sleep, and controlled stress, extreme strategies don't accelerate progress. They create more damage. Extreme tools without recovery turn plateaus into burnout.
Another subtle reason plateaus persist is rigidity. Eating at the exact same time every day teaches the body to anticipate food. Hormones rise earlier. Insulin spikes sooner. Fat access shrinks. Rotating meal timing keeps the system responsive instead of defensive. One day the meal is earlier. Another day it's later. Not chaotic, just flexible enough to prevent adaptation. Flexibility restores progress where rigidity stalls it.
In rare, advanced situations, periodic, prolonged fasting can be useful. Not casually, not frequently, and never without preparation. Used correctly, it can deeply lower insulin, reduce inflammation, and reset signaling pathways that have been resistant for years. This isn't about chasing weight loss. It's about restoring metabolic trust.
At this stage, fat loss becomes less about insulin alone and more about signaling balance. Growth hormone plays a role here. It helps preserve muscle, mobilize fat, and support repair. It rises with fasting, short, intense effort, and deep sleep. This is why brief, fasted training often works better than long cardio sessions, and why recovery becomes more important than volume. Exhaustion shuts fat loss down. Intelligent signaling turns it back on.
The part that surprises most people is how extreme plateaus finally break. Not by pushing harder, but by easing pressure in the right places. Improving sleep, restoring minerals, calming the nervous system, reassuring the body that energy is safe again. When that happens, fat loss often resumes, sometimes suddenly.
Extreme plateaus don't mean you failed. They mean brute force stopped working. Fat loss is not something you win through punishment. It's something your body allows when the signals are right.
If this changed how you think about fat loss, that wasn't by accident. Most channels teach rules. This channel explains the biology that decides whether fat is released or protected in the first place. If you're disciplined but stuck, this is the understanding most people never get. Subscribe if you want clarity instead of confusion, systems instead of hacks, and progress that works with your biology, not against it. When you understand the signals, fat loss stops feeling random, and progress stops feeling impossible.